Good evening, everyone. We're now heading into the middle of December. Busy season, lots going on, often lots of activities, parties, gatherings. So you may wonder why on earth I'd want to start talking about constipation at this time of year. Well, it's relevant to any time of year. But I found out that December is Constipation Awareness Month. Now, I'm not absolutely sure why they picked on December, but from my point of view, I think the chances are that with everything going on and likely to be poorer eating habits that you have than you have maybe other times of the year, that actually could be even more prevalent. So why not have December as Constipation Awareness Month? Now, as a naturopath, getting the bowels moving is an absolute priority in the work I do with my clients. If there is any sign of constipation, and I'll explain what I think that means, or certainly what it means to me, then it's an absolute priority to give information, tools and techniques and sometimes supplements to really encourage the bowels to get moving better. Now, in terms of the NHS, they would describe constipation as anything that is bowel movements fewer than every 3 days. Now, that's not good enough in terms of a naturopath. We need to get the bowels moving every single day. Why? Because if toxicity, because that's what there is in the gut, from the waste, if toxicity is hanging around in the gut, in the bowels, for longer than a day, that toxicity will want to go somewhere. And what will happen is the toxins get reabsorbed from the gut back into the bloodstream. And there it will attempt to go back to the liver, because the liver is an organ of detoxification. And the liver can become overburdened with toxicities. That's what it's trying to do every day, any day, as well as all its other roles that it has to do. And if there's this increased burden of toxicity going back to the liver, if there's an increased toxicity in the bloodstream, then toxins can get thrown off in other routes. The skin is an organ of elimination. So if you get skin conditions, I would immediately want to go back and look at what is going on in the gut and the bowels. So you could get increased skin conditions, headaches. It can affect hormonal problems as well. They can become increased if you've got constipation. So for me, if your bowels are not moving every day, it's constipation. The view is that at least 15–20% of the population are experiencing constipation. And if the definition of that is every 3 days, then I think far more people are probably experiencing poor bowel movements than that. So this is a really, really good time to start focusing on what you can do. Your diet may not be as good as it normally is because of the fact that it's December and Christmas time and general busyness. And it's Constipation Awareness Month. So let me share with you 6 techniques and tips, things that you can implement fairly easily. May need a little bit of focus when I talk about the dietary things, but things that you can do that can really help encourage the bowels to move better. And I must just stress that constipation is not just about the frequency. If you are straining to have bowel movements, it's a sign of constipation. And if they're not coming out formed as they should do, if they're coming out in little chunks and balls and pellets, like rabbit pellets, it's constipation. It's not how it should be. So here are 6 things in no particular order that you could think about. Now, number 1 may seem a bit laughable, but actually it's quite relevant and important. The position of Western style toilets, or toilets that we generally use now, are not helpful to encourage the bowels to empty because of the position. The squatting position of those types of toilet is actually more conducive for a good bowel elimination. So what can you do? I don't want you to start standing on your toilets, but what you can do is get a footstool to put your feet on, to raise up your knees and your legs a bit higher, to get the position much better. A footstool, a little kid's footstool or something like that by your toilet, and to sit there and to try and relax and to try and wait and try not to rush things is the first thing, an easy thing that you can do. The second thing is to think about massaging your large bowel, your colon. And you need to start focusing on the lower right hand sort of corner down by your hip bone, because that's where your ascending colon starts. And to massage with flat hands in circular movements, and to massage up the ascending colon and across roughly where your navel belly button is, across the left hand side, and then down the descending colon down towards the left hand side, left hand corner, towards your hip bone. Just generally massaging in that area can be very, very helpful to try and stimulate movement along through the colon. The second thing to think about, sorry, the third thing to think about is general movement. Now, exercise can be really helpful. That is not meaning you've got to go and kill yourself at the gym. Some gentle yoga movements are very, very helpful. Twisting type movements that you can do by, for example, lying on your back, drawing your knees up towards your chest, and for your knees to move to one side and to hold it. So your arms are at one side and your knees go the other side, hold it, and then bring your knees back up and drop them down to the other side. And that sort of movement and that twisting movement, you can also do it sitting up, where you bend one knee over your other leg and you twist to one side, and you put your right leg over your other leg and you twist the other way. That twisting movement is really good for all your digestive organs and could be helpful towards encouraging the bowels to move. The fourth thing on my list is obviously going to be fiber. Now, there's too much focus on roughage, which is insoluble fiber, things like bran flakes. Now, things like roughage bran flakes can be actually quite harsh and a bit of an irritant to the gut. I don't think that's going to be helpful to really encouraging bowel movements. Yes, we do need some insoluble fiber that you find in your vegetables, but we also need soluble fiber. And my first focus tends to be on soluble fiber. Soluble fiber helps to draw water into the bowel, helps to increase bulk, but in a gentle way. And good sources of soluble fiber in our foods are things like oats at this time of year. Why not try a bowl of porridge? I make mine with water. For some people, actually, dairy could be constipating. So I would focus more on perhaps water or a nut milk. And I like to add cinnamon. It's absolutely gorgeous. Apples, carrots, bananas, pulses, avocados, sweet potatoes, broccoli, pears. They're great sources of soluble fiber. Yes, they'll also contain some insoluble, but there's a lovely source of soluble fiber there. And the other thing, just adding on to that, is to think about soaking whole flax seeds, a dessert spoon of whole flax seeds in a glass of water overnight, and then drinking the entire contents the next day. And in fact, if you're making porridge, you can stir the entire contents into your porridge the next morning. It creates a lovely mucilage, and that mucilage can be really, really helpful for helping to soften the bowel movements and get them moving better. Other things that are good from a fruit point of view are plums, prunes, you've probably heard of, and kiwi fruits. They've been found to have this stimulating effect on the bowels. So perhaps add a chopped kiwi fruit into your porridge with those soaked flax seeds and see what happens. It could be very, very helpful. Number 5 on my list is magnesium. Now, there's too much, often what we find with the bowel movements is there's too much calcium and not enough magnesium. From the muscle perspective, this peristaltic motion that helps to move everything through the gut from top to bottom. And if there's too much calcium, not enough magnesium, it can make too much of a contraction. We need this relaxation that comes from magnesium. You need the contraction, you need the relaxation along the whole gut, this peristaltic motion. So what you could do is think about adding some magnesium-rich foods, nuts, seeds, some brown rice, dark green leafy vegetables. And if that isn't sufficient with everything else I've suggested, then magnesium can be very, very helpful as a supplement. I usually use magnesium citrate as a very, very good supplement to help for milder sources of constipation. And number 6 on my list, in no particular order, equally as important, is hydration. You know, it's really easy to overlook hydration. You need, on average, about 2 litres of fluid, total fluid intake a day, of which most of that you want to be your hydrating sources, so water, herbal teas, your mint teas, your fruit teas, your rhubarb teas. Green tea is not a herbal tea in the sense of the fact that it does contain caffeine and so may not work in the sense of helping constipation. I'm looking at your caffeine-free types of teas that are very, very important here. So herbal teas, water, very well diluted cordials are going to be well hydrating, a little bit of tea and coffee, but not too much towards those 2 litres. We need the water because if you're dehydrated in the body, your body will detect this, and what it will do is it draws water out of the colon, and therefore it makes the stools very dry and hard, very hard to pass. So we need to make sure the body stays hydrated, so the body does not detect that the cells are dehydrated and therefore will not want to draw the water out of the stools. Now, each one of those 6 steps, exercise, you know, the movement, the massage, what was number 1 on my list, your positioning when you want to have a bowel movement, your soluble fiber, your magnesium, and your hydration. Each one of those is equally important. Don't do one at the expense of all the others. Think of all 6 of those, and I would think that it's going to help encourage the bowel movements to be more frequent. You may not achieve daily, but I'm hoping it's going to help a little bit. You're not going to be straining as much, and they're going to be more formed as they should be. So go away and give that a go during this National or International Constipation Awareness Month of December. There's plenty you can do, even though it's December and we're out a lot, socializing for many of us, and Christmas, and your eating habits may not be quite so great. Think about how you can get some of those soluble fiber sources in. And let me know how you get on. I'd love to know if this has been really useful to you, if you do suffer with constipation. And yeah, let me know how you get on. I always love to get some feedback from you. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you're watching it live, this is my last live of 2023. If you're watching this through my YouTube channel or as a podcast recording, I have actually done 4 years of almost weekly lives in my Facebook group, which get uploaded as in my YouTube channel, and recorded now as podcasts as well. I hope you've loved these. They're not going to be as frequent next year. They're going to be a slightly different format. My aim is always to keep putting it out there, useful information to you, that's free and is useful to help you live your healthiest, best lives. That's what I'm aiming for. So look out for a slightly different format next year. I will still be here. I'll still be present, but maybe I'm not going to be doing weekly lives in my Facebook group, not in this format anyway. You'll still be seeing me, and there'll be plenty of information going out there. So the best I can do now through my Facebook live, if you're watching it live, is to wish you all a wonderful, relaxing, calming Christmas, as much as it can be, I hope, and to wish you all a really healthy and positive 2024. You know where I am if you need to reach out for me. Love to hear from you, and thank you so much for being part of my group. Thank you for being part of my YouTube channel, as being part of clients. However you follow me and support me, thank you so much. I will be very much present in 2024. So I look forward to engaging with you next year, wishing you all the best for the rest of 2023 and into 2024. Take care, everyone.